This is the third battle in the Total War Center team tournament. A 2 versus 2 tournament with a Pre-Marian Roman theme. That is, we only allow units from the army roster before the Gaius Marius reforms. Now here you see the Brutii army, commanded by myself, Cluny the Scourge, and my ally Selifator. And our opponents in this battle are the Senate, commanded by Reeve and General Nuisance, aka Snipey. Now we in the Brutii have taken a force comprising 7 Principes, 2 Triarii, 10 units of archers, 2 onagers, 2 war dogs, and 8 cavalry auxilia. That is a force, in other words, very similar to the one we deployed in our first battle in this tournament. The Senate, on the other hand, have taken 18 units of archers between their 2 armies, 8 units of cavalry auxilia, 9 equites, 3 triarii, and 2 principes. In other words, we, the Brutii, have taken an all-arms army. We have an infantry advantage over the enemy of 9 units to 5, while the Senate have taken a highly mobile force based around their cavalry and archers. They've reduced their infantry component over their last battle, that was battle 2 in the tournament, from 8 units to 5, and they're using them solely as guards to protect their archers. Now our plan as the Brutii was much the same as in our first battle, which was to use the artillery, as you see here, to try to provoke the enemy into attacking us, then defeating them with our infantry and archers. However, as you can see, in this case, we are heavily outnumbered in our archery capability, only 10 units to 18. That means we badly need to knock out the enemy artillery capability, or they will simply drown our Roman infantry, which are not strong enough to withstand massed archery fire with their missiles. However, if we simply send our cavalry charging out after the enemy archers, the likelihood is that those cavalry will be mobbed and destroyed. Furthermore, we Brutii are finding that when facing an enemy of this composition, that our artillery is far less efficient than it was in the first battle. The enemy are lighter and more mobile, and we, on the other hand, are tied down by the need to protect our onagers, which are slow moving. Now here you see a play by Snipey, I believe that is, the Senate's left, to try to knock out our cavalry, which goes badly wrong, and we Brutii get an early advantage, on this flank at least, by destroying some of their cavalry units. Now back to what I was saying about the artillery. Since the enemy have deployed in a wide, broad line to envelop us, we, the Brutii, fighting as one merged army, while they are deployed independently, means that onager overflying or underflying shots won't hit anything, and what they're most likely to hit is archers on loose formation, which will kill maybe 2 or 3 archers and achieve nothing else. Here you see the enemy making another try for our archers with their cavalry. Given their sheer overwhelming superiority in archers, I'm not really sure that was even necessary. If they had simply coordinated both of their armies together to drown us in arrows, they could have crushed our archers without risking their cavalry at all. Here you see that we are trying to reproduce what happened on our right flank, on our left, and instead we are mobbed, just as we had feared, and much of our cavalry capability is knocked out. And the dynamics of this situation, whereby Roman infantry will not be able to catch skirmishing archers by themselves, and well, certainly not cavalry either, are beginning to dawn on the Brutii. Realizing the situation is desperate, we try sending our entire infantry force to engage their infantry and force the enemy to reach a decision with us. If they try to bring their cavalry and archers in to support their infantry, then maybe we can impose the kind of battle that we want to fight. All this while the Senate cavalry are wreaking havoc on our archers And here you see that it was beginning to look as though we might achieve some success. The cavalry did come to their rescue, realised their mistake however, and just as quickly pulled out to get back to the real task that they needed to be paying attention to. We did achieve some initial success against the Senate infantry, but that battle by itself meant nothing. And here you can witness that our archery capability is being sadly destroyed. We're trying to rush our infantry to the rescue, but foot soldiers trying to catch cavalry is a useless proposition. The Senate pass up the chance to knock out our onagers there with their cavalry, either because they're afraid of being caught by our infantry, or simply to express their contempt for the utility of our onagers at that point. We've rushed our infantry back to protect the onagers, which are pretty much the only asset we have left. The Senate are in no sense of hurry whatsoever. They know they can strike whenever they wish. They're taking the time to pursue our archers and cavalry units and make absolutely sure that they will not rejoin the battle. Then they can simply recuperate their fatigue at will if they wish, unleash an archery storm upon us, knock out our onagers with massed archery fire, whittle away our infantry, and crush them at will. Therefore, we Brutii decide that we need to take desperate measures. That at least is how we explain what happened next, which is that we sent our infantry charging off after the archers, which they have no possibility of catching. The archers haven't been racing around, their fatigue levels are low, archers move faster than heavy infantry anyway. Principes and triarii are not going to catch them, especially ones that have already been fighting. So now they will come under massed archery fire, like so, while we have left our onagers only partially defended. This wasn't so bad actually. As you can see, the Senate's cavalry, which they deployed to try to knock out our catapults, were destroyed by our pillar. Though I suppose you could just as easily represent that as the Senate expending damaged, expendable units of cavalry to make us use up our pillar, to reduce the effectiveness of our infantry. And here you see that detachment was sent off has been surrounded, it's under constant flame arrow attack, and that, if I'm not much mistaken, is going to be our general massacred. What a fool. If he had survived the battle, I would have ordered him to commit suicide, honourably anyway. Quite simply, the enemy defeated us here through superior dispositions and a better adapted choice of units, learning from their first battle, while we simply repeated the same army again, and also by more flexible team tactics. Here you see our artillery dying. They can take us pretty much at will now. One unit after the other panics. The rout is spreading, and we're pretty much finished. Both the Brutii and the Senate learn from this battle and adapt their armies further in the next battles in the tournament, which will be against the Julii and the Scipii.